Let me tell you about one of the wildest legends to ever come out of New York City. It's not about some mobster or a Wall Street tycoon. No, this is the unbelievable, true story of a pilot, a plane, and a really, really dumb bet.
Seriously, just take a second and think about this. How in the world do you land an airplane in the middle of Manhattan? I'm not talking about some empty field. I mean on a city street with streetlights, parked cars, buildings. It sounds completely impossible, right?
Well, it's not. Back in 1956, a guy did exactly that. And his motivation? It wasn't some life or death emergency. Nope. It was, plain and simple, to win a bar bet.
And if you think the story can't get any crazier, oh, it does. Because 2 years later, he did it again. This is the incredible story of a man who stole not one, but 2 planes and landed them perfectly in the heart of the city.
So, who was this guy? Who's the daredevil at the center of this insane story? Well, his name was Thomas Fitzpatrick, but everybody just called him Tommy Fitz.
And Tommy Fitz, well, he was a fascinating character. Kind of 2 people rolled into one. On the one hand, you've got this decorated Marine, a Korean war vet who'd earned a Purple Heart, a skilled licensed pilot, but on the other hand, he was known for being a bit of a wild man, part of a crew that absolutely loved to push the limits.
Okay, so here's how it all started. The whole thing kicked off because of this ridiculously simple challenge. Fitz is hanging out at a bar in his old neighborhood, Washington Heights, up in Manhattan. He's about to head home to New Jersey, and somebody bets him he can't get from Jersey back to that exact bar in just 15 minutes.
And so, Tommy Fitz, probably a few drinks in, and definitely not one to back down from a bet, decides he's gonna win this thing. And he's not gonna do it by taking a taxi. No, he's gonna win it in the most spectacular way imaginable. So here was the game plan. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, he heads over to Teterboro Airport in Jersey and just, casually borrows a single-engine plane. Then he takes off completely dark. No lights, no radio, nothing. He flies in the dead of night towards Manhattan, and somehow he threads the needle, landing flawlessly on a narrow street right in front of the bar.
And listen, this wasn't just some sloppy, lucky landing. This was pure skill. Even the New York Times was impressed, calling it a feat of aeronautics. I mean, can you imagine dodging lampposts and cars in the dark, in an airplane, and not leaving a single scratch on it? Now, this part really shows you just how different the 1950s were. You'd think the guy whose plane just got stolen would be furious, right? Nope. The owner was reportedly so amused by the whole thing, by the sheer guts of it, that he refused to press charges.
So what's the penalty for stealing a plane and landing it on a city street in 1956? Get this, $100. A $100 fine for violating a city ordinance. That's it. Sure, his pilot's license got suspended for 6 months, but he basically walked away a local legend.
Okay, so you'd think that's where the legend ends, right? A crazy, once-in-a-lifetime stunt that he'd be telling his grandkids about for years. You would be wrong. So very wrong. Because on October 4th, 1958, he did it all over again.
And the reason why? Oh, it's even better this time. It was even pettier, if you can believe it. Fitz is in a bar telling his legendary story when some other guy calls his bluff, says he doesn't believe him. And Tommy Fitz's response was basically the 1950s version of, "Hold my beer."
He ran the exact same play. He went back to Teterboro, stole another plane, and flew it back to the neighborhood, landing just a few blocks away from his original spot. This time, though, he took off running before eventually turning himself into the cops.
So let's just compare these 2 flights, because the difference is huge. Flight number 1 was all for a bet. Flight number 2, just to prove a point. The first time, people were amused. The second time, the court had 0 patience left for his antics. The consequences were worlds apart.
And the judge at his sentencing basically spelled it out for him. He said, had you been properly jolted then, it's possible this would not have occurred a second time. In other words, we let you off way too easy the first time, and you obviously didn't learn your lesson. The second stunt earned him a much tougher sentence, 6 months in jail.
So what happened to our daredevil pilot after he got out of jail? Did he keep up his wild ways? You might be surprised.
After serving his time, Tommy Fitz just settled down. Completely. He worked a steady job as a steam fitter for 51 years, was married to his wife for 51 years, raised 3 sons. The guy who pulled off one of the most insane stunts in New York history lived an otherwise quiet, totally law-abiding life until he passed away in 2009.
But his legend? Oh, that lives on, especially in the neighborhood where it all went down. A local bar actually created a cocktail in his honor called the Late Night Flight.
It's this cool, layered drink that's designed to look like the night sky, and it's topped with a foam cloud. How great is that?
And this really brings us to the perfect way to wrap this all up. A man who was there, who saw the first landing as a kid, said this decades later. It's a powerful thought. A guy who was once seen as a charming rogue, a local hero, would in today's world face unimaginably different consequences. What does that say about his time, and what does it say about ours?